Here's the deal. We're gonna make this fast and loose because I don't really care all that much. All right, so here's the deal. Ashe, that's the best hero in the game. We're actually gonna add We're gonna add a row above, and it's extremely OP S plus. Oh, okay, well we'll just call it S plus, and then we'll give it a nicer color than that. Let's go for like pink. Right. Ashe is S plus. That character, that is the best hero in the game, bar none. That is the best hero in the game. Extremely overpowered. Super difficult to dive, basically impossible to solo dive or engage in the 1v1. Just so many 1v1 tools, so much survivability. Her usual positioning is always near her supports as well, so she's almost always got a lot of peel, so making her even more difficult to dive. Plus she has some of the highest damage output, she has some of the most consistent damage output, she's the most lethal. And she's one of the most consistent too. So, I mean, you really can't argue with this. She's just objectively incredibly good. Bastion, I think Bastion sucks really fucking bad. I think he's a little better than that. I think into some compositions he's not that bad. Like when the enemy team is running something weird, maybe like Hog or Mauga, or even Ramatra in some cases, or Zarya to some degree, or Rhine, then he has his place. Or even Monkey, but the issue is, typically speaking, people are gonna likely be running the D.Va, which makes him obsolete. But another issue is, even if they're running the characters that Bastion is good into, they're almost certainly going to be running characters that Bastion is bad into, like Sombra, Ashe, Tracer, Anna Brig, these kind of things, where Bastion just kind of gets dumpstered. So I think Bastion is pretty bad. Kree, I think he's pretty good. I'd throw him in the A tier. Pretty good. Now, the reason he's not higher is because Ashe is so good. Ashe checks Kree quite a lot. I'd put him in S if Ashe wasn't so good. Mainly because if they've got a good McCree player, a really good solution is to run the Ashe. Because then if you just purely outrange him, and even if he's hitting you way more than you're hitting him, your damage is way more effective on him. Plus, although he's good into the dive, like into receiving dive, Ashe is also very good into receiving dive. Basically, Ashe is just McCree on steroids. So I'm gonna put him in A purely because Ashe is as good as she is. I think Echo is actually pretty good even after the 225 nerf. She is still pretty lethal in those cases. The only issue with her is she's now worse at dueling Kiriko. She's now significantly worse at dueling Tracer. She's now worse at dealing with any dive at all. She's worse in the 1v1, so she's a lot worse in general because of that 25 health reduction. But she's still extremely lethal to a lot of the squishies, especially the 225 squishies now. She's even better against those, obviously. So I would say that Echo is definitely the best projectile DPS in the game right now. Purely because of her lethality. Even if she doesn't have that much survivability, she's extremely lethal if you know what you're doing, and she's one of those heroes that does reward your skill quite a lot, so I'm happy with her there. Genji is a throw pick as usual. So bad. People were saying that Moira's nerf to 225 is bigger than her buff to 65 damage per second, which I disagree with. I think if you play absolutely perfectly on Genji, then it's a net positive for him. But if you make any mistake at all, even minute ones, it's an overall nerf because she just straight up kills you faster. Plus, Genji's bad into Ashe. He's bad into McCree. He's bad into Echo. Bad into Pharah. Bad into Tracer. Bad into Monkey. Bad into D.Va. All of the good heroes right now he's really bad into. Plus, he's statistically terrible. His damage output is atrocious. His cooldowns in general are like 8 years in the past with what we have now. He's just an outdated hero. He just doesn't work in the game anymore because the corrupt design of the new heroes. So Genji just overall does not work at all. He's really bad. I would say Hanzo is also a throw pick. The character is just terrible. The Storm Arrow is extremely strong. I will say Storm Arrow is very strong, but quite literally everything else about his kit is worse. I think he's actually worse than Genji, because if he gets Dove, he dies. If they go Ashe, he dies. If they go Echo, he dies. If they go Tracer, he dies. If they're on Carry, he dies. If they're on any dive at all, he dies. He doesn't have any 1v1 potential. The only thing he's good at is popping Storm Arrow and shooting the tank in the face. Outside of that, he's obsolete and completely useless. I'd argue he's one of the worst heroes in the game for sure, if not the worst hero in the game. Although, there is definitely a worse hero, and you'll see who in a second, but there's going to be 3 heroes down here, and I think you probably already know which the other one's going to be. I think Juncrafter's buff is pretty mid still. He's okay. He's not great. I'm not seeing him in my games really at all. And when I am seeing him, he's not that annoying to deal with. If I'm playing Monkey, it can be a little annoying, but even then, like my team, if they go Tracer, then he just dies, and there's nothing. You have to be pretty cracked to Junkrat to beat the Tracer in the 1v1. So, it's pretty mid. He's got his opportunities. I'm yawning. It's 5 PM and I'm yawning. I didn't even wait. I don't know why. I just yawn when I record now. Anyway, I think he's mid. I think he's just, it is what it is. He's not got huge strengths, but he doesn't have huge weaknesses either. I think he's fine. I think Mei is pretty bad, mostly because she still can't one-shot Tracer, and Tracer is really, really good right now. So I think Mei sucks to some degree because she doesn't get the one-shot on the Tracer. She's not the best Brawl DPS anymore, because a lot of the heroes can just kind of escape from what was previously the wall being extremely dangerous. To most of the heroes you're walling now, it's not dangerous to them at all anymore. Plus, your damage output, you're just weaker in the up-close 1v1s, like those super close 1v1s, you just kind of lose. But Mei can only really take those up-close 1v1s, but she loses them if she takes them now because of the heroes that are good into them. So I think Mei's just not very good, unfortunately, but I do like when Mei is okay. I think Pharah's A tier, I think she's pretty good. That might be no, there's definitely more DPS going up there. I think Pharah's pretty good still. I don't think she's as good as Echo. But she's still okay. She still suffers from the same issues and the fact that she just spams constantly, and it's extremely annoying, and there's a lot of heroes that just simply can't deal with it. She gets checked by D.Va pretty hard, but it's pretty easy to keep your Pharah alive through a D.Va diving her. Unless your supports are just awful, and your DPS are awful. Like, it's pretty easy to keep the Pharah alive through the D.Va dive, to be honest. But yeah, she's okay. Just a spam hero. Good at spamming down the backline. That's really it. First S tier hero, Reaper. That hero is insane. Now, I gotta say, I've been putting Reaper high up on my tier lists for a long time, and people were always like, no, Reaper's bad, Reaper's bad, Reaper's not good, Reaper's the worst hero in the game, Reaper's bad. But would you look at that, I'm right time and time again. It doesn't matter that I predict it months in advance. This hero's been good for a long time, and he's still good now. He absolutely shreds all the dive tanks, shreds all the tanks in general. He's a great flanker. He's good at dealing with he's good at peel too. There's really nothing he can't do outside of killing Ashe, honestly, and those kind of heroes. So I think S is a great place for him, mostly because all the shit you're doing with him, he's really good at, and you're never really gonna want to take an opportunity, or you never need to take an opportunity with him where you're in the disadvantage, because he has so many options for getting around and going where he needs to go. So I think the only hero he's really losing to is the Ashe and the Tracer and things like that. So I think S is a good place for him. Sojourn is mid. The buffs were good. I'm glad they did them. I think she's in a good spot now. She's still a little bit annoying. I don't really like her design in general, so I think that's always going to annoy me. But in terms of power level, I don't think she's necessarily oppressive, even if I do disagree with her design. But yeah, pretty mid. Still an okay DPS. Still okay doing what she was doing before. Not egregiously powerful in anything. She's not super good at killing things. She's not super good at surviving. But she's good enough to qualify as a mid-tier hero, in my opinion. Now for the third worst hero in the game, Soldier. He is probably the worst character in the game right now. He is really bad at everything. Every hit scan is better than him. Basically all the projectiles are better than him. He does no damage to armor at all. He does no damage in general. His damage fall off is insane. He's the hardest hit scan to use by a mile. Easy to dive. Hard to kill with. Terrible in the 1v1. Cooldowns are bad. He's just terrible. Genuinely, he's statistically awful. He's bad for the he's bad into what's getting played. He's bad as a teammate for what's getting played. Like, you're not playing him with Monkey, you're not playing him with Diva, you're not playing him with Anna Brig, you're not playing him with the Reaper. You're just not playing him. He's just bad. He doesn't work right now. He's awful. Mostly because of the armor changes, but there's a lot of reasons he's bad. Sombra, people are going to be upset with my placement of her. I think she's A tier. I don't think she's quite S tier because of that 225 nerf. The virus is fucking ludicrously powerful. Perma Invis is still broken. I despise the character. However, with Kerry getting the buff to being able to 2-tap 225 now, she does actually put up a pretty decent fight against Sombra, so you don't need to peel as hard to deal with her. However, a Sombra playing well just deletes your whole team instantly anyway. The virus is dead OP. The perma invis is OP, the mobility is OP, the speed's OP, the damage is OP. It's all way too strong. But Sombra herself with the 225 is duelable now, even if she is extremely overpowered. Especially if you're playing like something like the Torb, you can just fucking fry her if you land. If you plink her and go for the shotguns, you can actually fry this hero. So although I think she's extremely overpowered in most cases, she is checkable now. Symmetra's mid. She might even be up into the A tier because she's actually not that bad, especially into Diva Monkey. She's really not that bad. She's decent in flanking too. I'm actually going to put her in the A tier. I think she's actually not that bad. A lot of people like to complain, mostly Symmetra players are like, my hero is fucking ass, bro. I can only kill every hero in the game super effectively all the time, apart from Widow and Pharah and Echo. And I get it, man. That shit sucks. I'm not a big fan of the flying heroes either. I understand why Symmetra players cry and complain. Their hero is rendered obsolete in a lot of cases. However, when they don't 5-man counterpick you, you can still do a lot on this hero. And even if they are 5-man counterpicking you, you can still do a lot by just shooting the tank, honestly. So, I think she's A. She ain't that bad, she ain't great, but she ain't that bad. Torb, mid. I think he's mid. Armor changes were good for him. That's kind of it. He's okay at checking Tracer. He's okay at checking Sombra. He's just very okay. He's the issue with Torb is he is really not a lot other than survivability, if you know what I mean. Like, his damage is so inconsistent outside of the spam. Like, in the 1v1, his damage, because his projectiles are so slow, it can be really difficult to win those 1v1s on Torb. So I think in a comp that's a bit more Brawl heavy, he's got a place. But outside of just checking Tracer and Sombra, I don't think he's that good. Tracer is S+. That hero is ridiculous. She's just always been good, even in 6v6, but especially in 5v5, because there's no like, for example, if I'm on the front line on Zarya and I'm beaming people and you know what I mean, I'm doing my thing, I want to go forward, but the Tracer's shooting my backline, my only option is to use one of my bubbles to obviously help the Tracer and get rid of the Tracer peel, you know what I'm talking about? Or get rid of the Tracer off my team. Which then obviously makes it more difficult for me to go on their enemy team and actually be able to do anything because I'm wasting those bubbles. But all the Tracer has to do is blink in, shoot a couple of times, force the bubble, blink out, wait 5 seconds, wait for the bubble to leave, blink back in, and then take the same 1v1 again harmlessly. And all it does is force me to use bubbles over and over again. So... and there's a lot of heroes that do like that. For example, Diva, if my backline's getting farmed, I have to fly back and use the DM. There's no tank hero in the game that can really deal with Tracer effectively, unless you're like some crazy fucking crackpipe queen player or something, where you always hit the knife and you always hit those headshots and you're just like crazy in the duel. But even then, still, there's nothing really does it, because Tracer pulls so many resources out of the enemy team, but doesn't really have to give any in return, you know what I mean? She just has to wait a little second and then she can go re-engage again. So Tracer's just really good in 5v5, and she'll always be good. I doubt there's ever going to be a moment where she's not one of the best heroes in the game. So it is what it is. Ventress mid, she just, you know, it is what it is. She kills things pretty effectively. I don't like the way she's built. Her combos are annoying. I don't like getting, like, Tekken or Mortal Kombat in a corner where I can't move and she just blasts me with the cooldowns. It's annoying. I don't like her design much at all, to be honest. A lot of people like her because she's like old Doomfist, but old Doomfist was bullshit too, so I don't like her. She's okay in some scenarios, but she's bad in others. I think she's okay. Widow S, crazy broken. I would say she would deserve an S+ tier if Tracer or Ashe weren't as good. But Tracer, Reaper, and Ashe kind of check her a little bit because they're all pretty decent at fighting her, especially with Monkey and Diva being good. And even, like, the funny thing is all the heroes that are good right now are good at killing Widow, and she's still insanely OP, which kind of goes to show you how broken the character is in general. But she still gets played in Havana, still gets played on Circuit, still gets played on even on conventional maps like Kings Row, Esperanza, Coliseo, New Queen Street is a Widow map too. Like, there's a lot of places you can run the Widow super effectively because it forces the enemy team into playing certain heroes, where if you're forcing that on Widow, you're getting infinite value anyway because you're forcing the team onto a certain comp, which then allows your team to build around the enemy comp to counterpick. So even if you're getting perma-dove, it doesn't matter, right? Let's say the Monkey jumps into your team, and then your team is on Ana, Brig, Reaper, and then like fucking McCree or Echo or Torb or something like that. Like, that's a lot of the anti-dive that you're jumping into, but if you don't dive that, then the Widow just has free reign on your team, so you're forced to dive into the anti-dive team, which then means you might be able to pick up an advantage, get a pick, something like that, burn some resources, anything like that, just because you picked Widow in the first place. So I don't like Widow's design at all. I think she's very strong. Ana is very, very, very good this season, mostly because of another hero who's very good this season. But Monkey's very good, so Ana's going to be good. Diva's very good, so Ana's going to be good. That's just kind of how it is usually. I think she's checked by Ashe and Tracer and Widow and Reaper quite a lot, and the Monkey's annoying to her. But if you've got a good backline setup and your DPS are playing properly and your tank cares about you even a little bit, then you're just going to be doing completely fine on the Ana. Is it as effective as some other support heroes? No, I don't think so. But, you know, the way the meta has shifted, I think she has found a place, even if she's objectively weaker than some of the other supports, if you know what I mean. Like, I might rate Ana higher than a character who's objectively better than her, just because the meta and the environment favors Ana a bit more, if you know what I mean. Like, for example, Baptiste is S tier. I think Ana is better in the meta, but he's so statistically broken in terms of his stats, in terms of his kit in general. Ammo is still broken. He still has like 1,000 effective HP in the dive. There's really nothing about Baptiste that's bad, to be honest. He's good at everything, jack of all trades in every department. Think of a single thing that Baptiste can't do. There isn't really anything. He's kind of just the jack of all trades support. He does absolutely everything effectively. I don't think he'll always be S tier because of that. I think Brig is S+. That hero is likely the best support in the game, in my opinion. Maybe barring an exception, but maybe not. She's just crazy good. When Diva's good, Monkey's good, Tracer's good, things like that where she needs to be on her other support protecting them, she's going to be good. Now, the thing is a lot of people assume that because, like, for example, let's say Venture's down here, they assume that Venture's a bad hero, which is not necessarily true. The same reason that Brig's up here, it doesn't mean that Brig's the best hero in the game. She might suit her environment a lot more, but the problem is that Brig has been extremely overpowered and extremely good for years, but no one talks about it because she hasn't had her time to shine in the meta yet, where she was really, really broken in a certain scenario where people could see how effective she was at what she did. But she's been runnable into basically anything for years. Same with Bap, same with Ashe, Tracer. They're just in a spot where they're even more effective than they usually are, so they're boosted in terms of their position. So I think Brig is S+, and she's been there for years, and she's super broken. Ilari is S. Need I say more? The Pylon's the best support cooldown in the game, barring maybe Suzu or Mo. She's a DPS hero on the support role. Need I say more? I think Juno is an A-tier hero. I think she's good. A lot of people have been saying she's bad. I disagree. I think her ult is very good. Her heal output is good. Her damage output is good. The only issue with Juno right now is that she is pretty susceptible to dive. And that's really it. The only issue that Juno has is she doesn't have self-sustain, and that she's easy to dive. And we're in a dive meta, so obviously Juno's going to suffer. But even with all that, she's still good. The Hyper Ring is really strong. Basically, all of her stats are pretty good. Her cooldowns are fairly strong as well. Her ult is very good. She just doesn't fit the environment perfectly right now, but I think even in that case, you can still pick her and play her just fine in basically all the ranks. Even in GM top 500, she's absolutely playable. So I think A tier is a good spot for her. Carry is S because Carry's S. I don't think I need to explain why. The damage output is high, the healing output is high, the character's brain dead, the hitbox is small, the Susie's OP, the TP's OP, the Kitsune's OP, the wall climb is OP. Best duelist in the game. Second best duelist in the game. Weaver is B tier. He's got nothing but life grip and aiming heal. He's okay, but he's not great. Lucio, S, very good. Speed is good. The nerf to 225 was aggressive, but he can read it now. He can go around and do a lot of damage. He actually can kill things again. Is it effective? No, but he can. So I'm putting him in S mainly for the speed. He's good in the dive. What can I say? I think Mercy's pretty mid. My issue with Mercy is that if she's with an Ashe, like if she's pocketing Ashe, she's S+. If she has any other character in the game that she's pocketing, she's D. So I think B is a good spot for her because she's statistically broke. Here's the issue with Mercy. I made a video about this, and it clear a lot of people didn't watch it before they commented because a lot of people were commenting agreeing with me, but were stating that for a reason as to why they disliked the video, which didn't make any sense, but people do that. Anyway, I think that Mercy is just objectively badly designed in the sense that I think that her actual overall kit is not made for Overwatch anymore. For example, when you have a hero like Baptiste, what does Mercy do? The Bap will heal more than her. He will do more damage output than her because he doesn't need to damage with someone, he can just do it himself. His cooldowns are better, everything about him is better, right? There's no reason to pick a Mercy when you have Carry, when you have Illari, when you have Baptiste, when you have even Ana or Breaker to some degree. The Mercy just doesn't serve a purpose anymore. So I think with Ashe she's very good. Without Ashe she's pretty bad. I'm going to put her in the C. I think Moira is better than her at B, up there with Weaver. Hyper survivability in the dive, good into the dive to some degree depending on what you're playing and how she's diving. Depends on the map. Usually I wouldn't want a Moira in the dive, but on some maps it's not that bad because there's a lot of escape routes for her. She can use her fate a bit more aggressively, especially on those kind of push maps. I think Moira's pretty good in the dive in the push maps, but even then if they're running the Widow and things like that, it can be really annoying because you don't have the utility to try and push her out. You've only got the damage and healing output. So I think she's pretty mid because there's other supports that are better, but she's actually okay. I think Zen is pretty mid as well. He just kind of dies to dive now, but if they're not playing dive, then he's good. The issue is, if your team has Brig, Zen, and then the enemy team do not go dive, like Tracer, Ashe, things like that, Monkey, D.Va, things like that, Zen is good. But if they go D.Va, Genji, Tracer, Sombra, Kiri, Juno, Lucio, things like that, he gets farmed. So I'm putting him in B, because sometimes he can be fairly good, sometimes he's bad. Doomfist is pretty mid. He's okay. He's the worst of the dive heroes. He's good, but he's not the best. I'm going to put him in A, actually, because he is good, but he's not D.Va or Monkey. He's still very susceptible to getting punished by things like Sombra, whereas the other dive tanks don't suffer from that. So Doom is a bit easier to counter. He's a bit harder to play. He's a bit harder to get value on, but he is strong if you know what you're doing, so I'm putting him in A. D.Va obviously goes S+. That's the second most broken hero in the entire game, barring Ashe, who's the first most broken hero in the game. I don't need to explain why. Her armor is too much, her health is too much, she's too hard to kill, she does too much damage, too much mobility, too much damage mitigation, too easy to play, too easy to work with. Everything about her is broken. Literally every single thing about this hero is broken. Queen is mid because just go Monkey, D.Va and Tracer and Sombra, and she loses. The only thing Queen is good at is if they are playing the dive comp, and let's say the enemy team is playing like Monkey, Tracer, Sombra, something like that. If they've got a backline that looks anything like I don't even know, Ana Kiri, Ana Illari, Ana Bap, something like that, you might be able to squeak out a kill, but even then, you're better off just going Monkey or D.Va, right? That she doesn't really serve a purpose. Mauga is really bad. He's really bad. The thing is with Mauga, the issue is, right, like, let's say you're a tank, right? Let's say you're playing tank, if your DPS know how to play around the Mauga and like hard focus the supports and ignore him, he's awful. If your team don't know what they're doing and they're shooting Mauga, he's incredibly good. Because then they just go things like Bap, and they go Brig, they go Larry, they go Kiri, they go Anna. They just go these high healing output supports, and they just dump it all into him. And if he's playing cover well, he will never, ever die. But if your Tracer knows how to play the game, they're shooting the Ana constantly, he's awful. He just fucking cripples and dies. So I might even put him in the C tier because he has potential. Same with Orisa. Just hero's bad, bro. I don't know how else to explain it. The hero's bad. They don't really do anything. I don't want them buffed though because I hate their design, so they're bad. Ram, pretty mid. Maybe one of the better tanks. Actually, he's better than Queen, I think. I think A tier is a pretty good spot for him. I actually don't even think either of these guys should. I think they're both pretty mid. I think this is a better place for all of them. Ram's just got the good survivability. He's got a lot of options in the Brawl, so he's pretty good. I think Ryan, same thing, pretty good in the Brawl. Not bad. I'm actually gonna move Mercy down to D. She's really bad. Same with Mei. Actually, May's terrible. Do I move Mei down? Yeah, May's fucking trash. Ryan is mid. He's pretty good, actually. I actually don't mind playing him. But when he's countered, he gets fucking just annihilated. They go like Ashe, Tracer, Diva, Juno, Kiri. You do literally... This hero does nothing. He just literally doesn't do anything. He can't do anything. His kit just doesn't work against that. But if they're like Queen, Brig, Bap, Mei... something like that, where you can actually get in amongst it, swing your hammer, you know, you gotta something to block, you know what I'm talking about, then he's pretty good. But otherwise he's mids. I think Hog is actually pretty good this season. He's not better than these guys though. He's pretty mid. I don't know, it's the same thing. Like, in a situation where the Hog is viable, he's very good. If he's countered, he's useless. It's a lot like these heroes, right? Doom is good. If he's countered, he's bad. Queen is good. If they're countered, they're bad. Ram is good. If they get countered, they're bad. I think I'm actually going to move Ram up because he's a bit harder to counter than the other ones, and he can still kind of do stuff when he's countered. So I think I'm moving Ram to A. But the rest of these guys are pretty mid. Sigma, A as well. Just his kit is just very good. Works kind of on every map. Very consistent. I think A is a good spot for Sigma. Monkey, S. It's just very good. Not as good as Diva, but very good. I've been playing a lot of Monkey. Very good. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with it. I like when Monkey's a good hero, so I'm very happy that he's strong up here. Same with Lucio. Basically everyone else up here, I'm kind of unhappy about them being good. I think Tracer's usually fun to be good, but Tracer's very annoying if you're playing tank, because you can't really do anything about it. But playing the other roles, I think he's fun. Monkey being S is clear though. Just very effective dive hero, and dive is good. Ball is not good. I think he's C, because you just go Sombra and he dies. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. He's just not good. You have to be so good at Ball to get any value really at all. I think Orisa's actually D as well, and so is Mauga. These characters are bad. I think Orisa might even be a throw pick. She's really shit. Same with Mauga. He's terrible as well. Actually, I'm just like reformatting the whole fucking list. Is there anything else I want to move down? I actually think Sojourn's a bit worse. We're just reformatting the whole list quickly. This looks better to me. This definitely looks better to me. Okay, ignore everything I said before. This makes more sense, because I'm just gonna say it how it is. Zarya is a throw pick. She is horrible. She's actually horrible. She's terrible against Ashe, terrible against Tracer, terrible against Brig, terrible against Diva. Okay, here's the thing. A lot of people are going to go, Zarya's bad against Diva? What do you mean? Because here's what happens, right? In a higher level game, like GM, Zarya does not counter Diva. Because what happens is, let's say Diva dives your backline. your backline's Ana Brig, for example. Let's just make it as fair for as good for the Zarya as possible. You dive, the D.Va dives Ana Brig, gets booped away with the fucking bunk from the whip, then she redives, you bubble the Ana, she gives you a bit of charge, she disengages, she goes again, she gets whipped, she goes back, she goes again, dives the Ana, you bubble her. Now nothing is happening other than you standing still and repeatedly bubbling your backline over and over and over again. But you're going to get a lot of charge. You're going, okay, I've got a lot of charge. I can go make a play. Make a play on what? The Ashe is too far away. You can't kill the Tracer because she's never going to be anywhere near you. You can't kill the Brick because she's going to be too far away and she's good at dealing with you. You're not going to kill the Reaper. He's got too many survival options. You're not killing the Widow because she's too far away. You're not killing the Bat because she's got so much HP. You're not killing the Illari because she's too far away. You're not killing the Carry because she can run away. You're not killing the Lucio because she can run away. You're not killing the Monkey ever because he can just run away and the bubble's effective against you and he kills you pretty quickly. You're not killing the D.Va because her health bar is so big. You're not killing Kree because he hinders you and runs away. You're not killing Echo because she runs away. Pharah's too far away. Sombra's too far away. Symmetra can TP away. The only time you're killing Ana is when she's majorly out of position. You're not killing the Juno because she can speed away. You're not killing the Ram, his health bar is too big. You might kill a Sigma, but then again, if they've got Juno or Lucio or Weaver or Carry or fucking Bat, you're not killing him because he's getting emoed. You're not killing Ventral to run away. Weaver, you're probably going to kill him if he's out of position. Like, you're just not killing any of these heroes effectively on Zarya, even if you've got high charge. Because the issue is you need bubbles on top of your charge to actually go in, start killing your target, reach opposition, use your bubble to mitigate some of that to give you a bigger advantage in the 1v1, secure your kill, and then either back out with your HP and hope that you don't die, or have another bubble to bubble yourself out as you leave. But if you're constantly bubbling your backline because it's getting dove by Tracer, D.Va, Sombra, Reaper, Illari, things like this where there's just constant pressure on your backline, you never have any bubbles to walk forward. Same things with like a lot of the cases with any of the heroes that might go anywhere near your front line as well, because if you are actively pressuring them and you're using your bubbles on yourself, well, they're going to call your bubble usage, and then all of a sudden the Tracer's in your backline, and then the Sombra's in your backline, and then the D.Va's in your backline, and you may be able to burn through that D.Va health bar, but if the Ana Brig is healing her, they're getting the heal on her way faster than you're getting the damage output on her, and you're very squishy in comparison to other tanks because you don't have the armor output that they do. You don't have any armor at all, so you need your bubbles, but your bubbles are getting used to save your backline. She's just objectively terrible this season. She might even be I think she's the worst tank in the game. Maybe Orisa is worse than her. Mauga's definitely not worse than her. I think Orisa and Zarya are literally useless this season. But, you know, Zarya is just terrible. Anyway, that was my tier list. Goodbye. Goodbye.